talk is cheap where cheap is talk, and talk is cheap, ladies and gentlemen. Off-site Pete joins me.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, how's it going, Nano?
Not too bad.
Yeah, we set up on the fly here, and
We did.
wanted to come out with a show.
First off-site thing like this. Folks, I do have the bandwidth here. Now I know that this resort to do a live stream, but I couldn't do OBS through the laptop. It was too much horsepower. So if I ever bring my eGPU and plug that in, I could do a live stream, because we're easily getting probably like 90, what is it, gigabytes? Is it megabyte? Yeah, no, 90 meg.
Gigs, megs, I don't know.
Whatever it is, we got 90.
Yeah, I'm not a computer guy. You know,
my brain's kind of fried. We were at the conference all day. It wasn't a UFO conference, but
no,
we'd have too much fun at one of those.
Yeah. Soon we will be at a UFO conference together and really raise some cane.
And you didn't go to they have a water park here. I was waiting for Pete yesterday, and he never showed up.
Yeah. I didn't want to necessarily put all the young ladies through that, so I opted out. I arrived on site a little late too, and by the time I settled down and got everything set up and stuff, it was running late, and I was like, forget about it.
They do have VR. I was looking at those posters.
Really?
It looks pretty legit. So if you're down, I want to do that.
We should try that. Yeah,
because it's like you got the goggles on, and they give you a gun, and it's got one of those balls, so it tracks and everything.
Is it?
And it's like you walk. You're in a room,
and you walk.
Yeah,
and
so
stuff.
it's really interesting.
Is it like partners, or is it against each other?
I don't know. I think it's partners, because they were all together in a group.
Oh, okay.
Or whatever they were doing.
Fighting.
It would be interesting to try that out.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
So we should do that tomorrow. Maybe.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, why don't we just cover some stuff? I think one thing we should talk about is the Julian Assange.
Oh my gosh, that happened quick, didn't it?
Yes.
It's been 7 years he spent in that embacy before he finally
nothing really ever happened. And then they take him out, and basically looks like crap. I think I got a picture. Like he's been in there a while.
Oh, and what was the book he was holding when he was taken out?
Oh, is that of significance?
Yeah, it was. See, in that picture there, he's holding a book. There it is.
It looks like Mr. Bean.
It's not Mr. Bean. It is. Oh, I heard it. It's a very well-known book. I'm gonna ask my phone here.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Yep. Let's do this here.
Do it live.
Do it live. What book was Julian Assange holding when he was arrested? He was holding Gore Vidal's History of the National Security State. So
and then he was saying some stuff about Trump administration too.
Oh yeah. Well, if you think about it, think of the documents he's laid eyes on. Like all this released top secret stuff. I mean, I can't imagine he's released everything he's seen. I'm sure he's come across stuff that if he released, it would sign his death warrant almost instantly.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you think about it, he's got a pretty good glimpse into the inner workings of the machine.
I bring up this article because it caught my eye. It said Julian Assange smeared poo over the walls of the Ecuadorian embassy.
It's been claimed, so allegedly.
So during a stay at the Ecuadorian embassy, during the government of the former president Rafael Correa, they tolerated things like Mr. Assange putting feces on walls of the embassy and other types of behavior of this kind. The minister did not make it clear if he had used his own poo or someone
else. Come on, I don't believe that.
It could be just a cover story, but the only reason I bring it up because it's like he looks like he's just like lost it
a little bit, right? Yeah, but who hasn't smeared some poo in their life? Come on, cut the man some slack.
And then this brings up the next point, because everybody says, well, of course, it's an attack on free speech.
Yeah, right.
But they're saying that Trump's acting like, I don't know anything about that, blah, 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 even though he said him all the time during the election.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is Trump really can't pardon him until they get him in the system in order to give him a pardon.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. So, at this point, he can't just pardon him preemptively. There's got to be an indictment and all that stuff. So
that brings me over to the Q stuff. So now attacks on Q will intensify as deep state is targeted. Q has the source, Julian Assange, ? He didn't say too much about Assange in the rest of this post, and this has been a while, so he hasn't posted. That was April 11th. So a few days.
Yeah, 4 days ago.
As we're filming this, by the way, this will probably be up. I'll probably try to schedule this for 1 p.m. So if you guys are watching this, we're filming this Monday. So
yeah,
Monday night.
Sorry, yeah, flip back and hear Dan's reasoning why we're not live, and hopefully that will get fixed sometime in the future.
If I bring my box with, I guess we can do it.
We'll let Dan chew on that. We got a year, right?
Box. Yeah, I could bring an HDMI cable and use a TV too. It's like all those little things you don't think about. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, Trump brings him over. People say, oh, he's got to pardon him.
Yeah.
Get him in the system, then he can do it. But he's making it look like he's not going to, I think, first.
But, you know, how many times has Trump done that, though? And, you know, like, said not going to do this, not going to do that, and then he kind of surprises you and does it, right?
That brings me up to this video that I want to play because it's kind of important.
This just came out. This just came out. WikiLeaks. I love WikiLeaks.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
Oh, God.
The Hillary Clinton documents. Have you been seeing this? What's going on? Released by WikiLeaks make more clear than ever just how much is at stake in November and how unattractive and dishonest our country has become.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
And the man who was overseeing the investigation into Hillary's illegal server, a server we now know Obama knew about. Just found that out yesterday. WikiLeaks.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
Hillary had no defense for her secret speeches to Wall Street and international banks that she hid from the public and which were exposed by WikiLeaks.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
These WikiLeaks emails confirm what those of us here today have known all along. Hillary Clinton is the vessel, a corrupt global establishment that's raiding our country and surrendering the sovereignty of our nation.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
So you get the point. What people are getting at and why they made that video is because when he's denying it, and he obviously referenced them a lot.
Oh yeah, he knows. And, but you know, in a sense, then you're right. You know, he referenced WikiLeaks, but what does he really know about him, right? It's not like he was claiming to be Julian Assange's friend or anything.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but I think there's just a lot of people that feels like he's betraying everybody. But I think there's more to this. I think he knows what's going on.
Was the denial recent? Then
yeah, it was this last when he actually got arrested. They asked him. That's
okay.
Was from.
So from Monday then.
Yeah,
or it is Monday from last Friday, right?
We should talk about this. So we had an email.
Oh yeah.
From the Sun 19, and we were talking about the Nazca
mummies. Yep, yeah, the alien mummies that were allegedly dug up down in Peru.
So he sent this website with the email with the discoveries, and there's this one. Obviously, I think we had the Maria one with the arms are like that, and then the 4 must be the other humanoid reptiles here on the left side. This is interesting because it actually says that this was a female specimen, presumably pregnant. So they're seeing eggs in this thing.
Yeah, and that's what.
Where's that photo?
Oh, I don't know where to go. We were looking at it before the show.
But
well, that's interesting. You know, if it's a reptilian, it would do eggs, right? Are there reptiles out there that give live birth? I don't think so. I think that's one of the things that sets them apart.
Oh, you're bringing up a good point, because if it was like crocodiles and turtles and
right. And people, when the subject of reptilian, you know, aliens or reptilian I guess civilizations on Earth prior to us, people laugh and whatever if they find it hard to believe, but reptiles have been on this planet hundreds of millions of years longer than primates have. Who's to say that one didn't develop and go off to explore the universe and then come back and enslave the monkeys that were here?
But anyway, yeah, shout out to the The Sun 19.
Yeah, the Sun 19. Yeah, turn us on to this website, which has some really cool stuff. It even goes beyond just the Nazca mummies, which is kind of cool. Kind of interesting to see that there's this mummification process, I'll say, is consistent. I wouldn't say that all of these beings, humanoids that they're finding, are all identical or consistent, but what's interesting is they look fairly consistent in their preservation method.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to jump to yours?
Oh, cyborg rat mind control? Oh my God. New study published by some Chinese scientists. They are now using mind control to control rat cyborgs. So this is a scientifically published paper. This is not something that's alleged or covered up or anything. This is something that they've come out with and said, yes, this is what we can do. They put a brain interface into some neurons in a rat's brain. I don't know how they do that, but they do. And they put on this fancy techno hat on another guy. I think they referred to him as the manipulator. And they sent these rats through a maze, and the manipulator could think about turning left, turning right, etc., and could make these rats go through a maze. That's the name of the paper. Human mind control of rat cyborgs' continuous locomotion with wireless brain-to-brain interface. That's a mouthful. But a couple of interesting points here is that this is not the first time that an animal has been brain-controlled. They did that to cockroaches in the past. I don't know how you make the transition from cockroach to rat.
Remember... Actually, when I was in elementary school, I remember reading an article where they had all these mechanicals, basically where they could remote control a cockroach with.
Oh yeah, with with a joystick.
Yeah.
Well, and they do this kind of machine BMI brain machine interfacing. They can do it with prosthetic limbs or just have a machine on the ground that can think and tell it what to do. But what's interesting is that this is, I would guess, the first mammal that they've done it with that we know of, right? But the implications of this, Dano. Imagine,
crazy. Yeah, because we were just talking about this at dinner.
Yeah, I brought it up to Dan at dinner, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's what they use to control the UFOs." And I'm like, it is. I mean, that's it, and it's so funny because we think 20 years ago this was just complete science fiction, right? Impossible to do. According to mainstream, not everybody, right? And now here we are 20 years later, 25 years later, and they're doing it to rats. What does this mean in the future when, say, like, you're deemed a threat to the state, so they put some sort of helmet on you and now they can control you and do what you want? Or you've got, super soldiers, you've got, just general population mind control. What about super soldier animals? Imagine throwing one of these on a whole school of grizzly bears and turning them loose,
I know the apes.
Yeah, right? Yeah, so this is really interesting, cool stuff.
This goes, like, when we bring up the UFO thing, that's so important because when you're going that speed and that velocity, you can't even, like, think so quickly with your hands, where if you can just use your mind, you can actually make those decisions quicker.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, because it takes, even when we do control with our hands, it takes still a fraction of a second for us to get the thought formed and the message sent to move, Yeah,
and there's a lot of contactees that the aliens let them fly their ship, say here's it is, and then they'll just think where you want to go, and they're actually kind of training them already to do that.
Sure, yeah, they take them out to the Walmart parking lot, with the new driver and let them go. They can't hit anything, just miss that supernova.
I wish I could do
over
that.
there.
Well, maybe they'd let me do it and they wipe my brain. I don't know.
Oh, what's the point of doing it if they're going to wipe your brain, though?
Well, so you don't, like, get overwhelmed, and then eventually you'll start to remember slowly. And
yeah, that's fine. If they wipe my brain and then ease me back into it, I'm okay with that. So anyway, cyborg rat mind control, folks. It's coming. Be ready. It's going to get...
all happening.
It's all happening. Ripping it and tearing.
I had the soundboard in my bag, but I don't think it'd be the same if I don't have it plugged in.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll have to do it from memory.
We got to get it sounds rearranged anyway. But to the stars. So have you what do you think about this whole disclosure initiative? Because now I got you to sit down. We can just have a nice conversation here. We're in the hotel. So switching over to the Stars Academy and Luis Elizondo, this is the government's plan going forward about slow disclosure. Yeah. What do you feel like is going on here?
Well, I think that we've been kind of on a path of toward slow disclosure, but one of the things you mentioned, Luis Elizondo, and I can't believe the haters out there. Like, you mentioned his name now in some circles, and people just jump at you. This guy worked for the Pentagon, came out and gave us information that we wanted to, and now suddenly he's some sort of bad guy. You know?
Are you talking about me?
No. Maybe it was you too, but it's furthering the evil alien theory and this and that. But he's giving us information we want.
I agree. It's a two-edged sword to it, because my thing is, we were warned about this happening from Werner von Braun,
yes,
the Nazi scientist, that they are going to throw this last card down and say that the aliens are here to get us, so we got to arm up.
Oh yeah, Project Bluebeam talked about that, how it was going to be a fake alien invasion, and then we're going to hand over all our rights and to the cabal and just let them control us to protect us and stuff. But I don't know if Luis, right, is part of this, then there's a cancer through the whole kind of disclosure movement.
There is. I mean, there's always going to be that divide. I mean, Stephen Greer was kind of the part one. Mm-hmm. These people in the government,
and there's people that hate Stephen Greer. You can't.
Well, yeah, I'm one of those.
Yeah, see. So, and it's like
it's not. I can't be completely. It's one of those things that's a love-hate relationship, because Stephen Greer did a lot for me. Like I said, he woke me up in the disclosure movement because of the 2001 press club. You had Clifford Stone there saying we categorized 72 different races back in, I think it was the 80s or whatever when he got out. Unbelievable stuff. They'd swear on the Bible in front of Congress. So with that, it's like, I got to give him credit for him waking me up to that, because that definitely did it for me. But then the whole thing is, what is Greer doing? Because now I see he wants to get videos from every normal citizens, put them together to make another DVD. Well, that's going to be his third movie now. He just released 2. These are like big budget movies that cost money to make. But he was working on that. He was supposed to get a lab together where so these guys could start putting making these free energy devices on camera, so no one could see him steal any of the government come in and raid him or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, where's the status update on that? It's been like years. It's been at least 5 years since he talked about that, and there's nothing. Now he wants to make another movie.
Yeah.
It's like, so when does profit end and we can start bringing
I know,
in the
right?
world?
Did all of a sudden the capitalistic greed start taking over, and now he doesn't care anymore? He just wants to make money off of the...
And when he overcharges for his Nights Under the Stars, I mean, you're talking like $2,000 for 7 days or whatever, and that's just crazy. For that, that's not hotel room, none of that. No,
that's just for being allowed to be in his presence outside at night.
That's just that's wrong. I think there's you could say. All right, you're doing a service, I'll pay you a little bit.
Yeah, was he the guy that had the hikes in Peru and stuff? Who was the guy with the hikes in Peru that for $1,400 you could take a hike up to?
Oh, no, that was
I forget now. But anyway, that was
Dusty talked about him.
Same sort of situation there. All of a sudden you get a few followers or get some interesting stuff, people paying attention, and then come down to Peru, and for $700 I'll hike you up to Machu Picchu or whatever.
The thing with Greer is I think he was he was obviously a doctor, ER doctor. So he was making whatever, $300,000 a year. So now it's like he almost wants to maintain that lifestyle. It's like, dude, if you're all about conscious, sell your stuff. Be a minimalist. You don't need all that, and just live by example.
Yeah, it's tough because people like bells and whistles and Mercedes Benz and stuff. And
I see me rolling. And then that brings us to Luis Elizondo, because I kind of feel like it's almost the same thing, but now it's on the other side. Stephen Greer was always like, the aliens are good. Now Luis is like, it's kind of a threat, but we don't know. I
worked for the Pentagon, and it seemed malevolent.
So this was his latest article on April 11th by Luis Elizondo. This is on the To the Stars Academy website. I highlighted a couple parts because he was basically saying to the point here of there are more than 2 solutions to the problem. So basically what he's saying that you can't look at something and say that it's bad or good. So I thought this was really funny. I highlighted this. He says, I'm always challenging myself to see new possibilities. One day, just to test myself, I turned on the light in the kitchen. When the time came to turn it off, I told myself I couldn't take my normal route through the living room, and instead I had to find an alternate route. The day after that, I told myself I could no longer use the kitchen or the foyer to turn off the light, and quickly remembered I could enter the kitchen through the garage. By the 5th night, I was desperate for an alternate routes, finding myself literally climbing through the kitchen window. Determined to see how many different paths there truly were. By the 10th night, I resorted to throwing off electrical circuit breakers at the electrical panel. At one point, I even contemplated entering through the attic and sawing my way through the ceiling if I had. It's like, really? Do you think he actually entered the window through just to prove this experiment? I think it's just more BS by him, to be honest.
That he just, I don't know.
Say that you did it. Say that you did it, but you didn't actually do it.
Yeah, but who are you to say that he didn't actually do it? You weren't there.
I guess if he's got nothing else to do.
Yeah. Yeah, he ain't work for the government anymore.
So then this brings into the UAP. He says it's not that it must be a secret government program or it's aliens from outer space. He says it could be a multifaceted of not knowing what it is. Some other possibilities could include a foreign adversary technology, a multidimensional capability, or even a spatial temporal aspect that we have yet to discover. Ultimately, this mystery may not have been an either-or answer and may be far more bizarre than we ever thought possible. So he's just bringing up the idea of, we don't know what it is.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you're Luis Elizondo, you got contacts in the government, you work at the Pentagon. Go down to Area 51
and open
get
the
into
door,
S4 when they've been back engineering this stuff. Talk to Bob Lazar, he's been down there. Do what Eisenhower did. Take the frickin' army down there if you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, that if they want to do their own thing down there and be black project off their grid, it obviously exists. Before we had the conversation of Area 51 doesn't exist.
Oh yeah, for
it's
decades.
There. They're doing something there. Go investigate.
Yep.
People are saying UFOs are there. Well, go check into it.
Yeah,
you can go. You can sit out there and see them flying these things that they're back engineering.
Yeah.
You want to say we don't know what they are?
Yeah. Right.
BS.
Yeah, and he should have had those answers as well, working for the Pentagon before.
He should have.
He spent what, 10 years with them? How long do we know?
Well, he did ATEP from 2007 to 2012.
Okay, and then 12 to 18 for the Pentagon.
No, ATEP was the last thing he did.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
When did he retire from the Pentagon? 2012.
That's a good point because he just retired. Maybe I got that wrong. I'll keep talking. I'll check.
Well, okay, there's no pressure. So my point is that he should have probably had those answers when he was in the Pentagon, right? Unless he was completely shoved off in the corner.
Because he retired, they did the thing. It was just then he retired, so you are right. He was there.
What's up with these UFO people always having weird facial hair, it seems? Maybe not. Maybe I'm just overreacting.
Do I have weird facial hair?
No.
Exactly. Where's my soundboard? So yeah, ATEP was 2007 to 2012, 22 million, and then I apologize for the people listening on the podcast because he retired before the thing went public, and that was in 2017, that October. So what the hell was he doing between?
He left the Defense Department in October 2017.
So it's defense. But then there was time there he didn't even know what was going on, and then he had to be like, I might have just talked to a buddy. He said it's still going on. So it's just like this half-ass information thing where he acts like he doesn't know what's going on, but he does. But do you think something good will come out of that, Pete? I mean, where do you see this going?
Well, I think something good has already come out of it in the sense that more people have become aware that this phenomena is out there and these allegations are being made and claims being made. Is this guy going to be our guy? If he worked for the Pentagon and the Department of Defense or whatever for that many years and didn't walk out of there with something he could hand over,
Well, they got that. They got
cool story, bro. You know.
Well, they got that unidentified series coming up on the History Channel that he's going to be a part of, and that's where they're going to show stuff.
Yeah, just like Finding Bigfoot finds Bigfoot.
Again, you go back into it. Yeah, like exactly. You know, where is it just a profit
Mystery
thing?
of Oak Island really produces. You know, it's. I'll tell you what. Anytime if you're waiting for disclosure or proof of ghosts or Sasquatch or aliens or whatever, and you're waiting for a cable TV show to tell you it, I'm telling you, you're going to be sadly mistaken.
I didn't get satisfied until I actually started looking elsewhere besides the stupid TV channels.
Well,
they don't get deep enough.
The only thing that does is it maybe awakens and gets more people interested. But if they're going to sit there and wait at bated breath for that next episode next week to come out from their new information, they're not going to do it.
And that brings up the thing. That brings up the thing, because if there's such a threat, well, how do we got time to make a TV series?
Yeah, we should be building like antimatter weapons and, you know, death rays, and, you know, get John Hutchison involved and get that death ray he developed, you know, back up and running.
Yeah. So with that, I guess we'll take a break, and this will lead into my next article very nicely.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah. All right.
We'll see you guys on the other side.
Questioning your reality, questioning everything. You're listening to Talk is Cheap with Dan Hohlfeld.
This is Shane Robinson with Unbiased and On the Fence, and you're listening to Talk is Cheap with Dan Hohlfeld.
Hey, Dan Hohlfeld here from Talk is Cheap. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you about a new, exciting product on our store. The cell phone cases, these just launched. They look so good. They're glossy. It's got the Talk is Cheap logo right there on the back. We got the iPhone with many different models, as well as the Samsung Galaxy series. Show your support for the broadcast. This helps fund the operation and keep things going. Go to K2D4network.com, click over on the store, and check it all out. It's all there. It all helps. Dan Hohlfeld, Talk is Cheap, out.
Enjoying the show? Consider supporting us by donating to our Patreon. Patreon.com/K2D4Network.
Hey guys, this is Carrie Walker from Alice Eats the Apple, and you are listening to Talk is Cheap with Dan Hohlfeld.
Broadcasting worldwide, it's Talk is Cheap.
Welcome back to Talk is Cheap, where cheap is talk and talk is cheap. We are not live, but we are off-site.
Yeah, well, we are alive, so that's a good thing. Off-site and coming at you.
Yeah. At a conference, not a UFO conference, but we'll get to one someday.
Yeah, someday. Yeah, we won't bore you with what the type of conference we're at, but...
But it is a water park. So
yeah. Dan's digging the water park, and we were talking about hitting the VR room or whatever later. So we'll have to check that out.
But yeah, before the break, we were talking about Luis Elizondo, the third card from Warner von Braun, the false flag alien invasion that's setting up. So before that, what was into that? The other cards. One was the third world countries that we got to build space-based weapons against, which Trump has brushed upon. He came out and said it that one day. Like, no one even, like, it's like, he said this is new technology. We can take out a missile anywhere on the planet. To me, that's just like...
Yeah, people should have stopped what they were doing and said, what?
And I made a video on here. I think it got 200-300 views maybe. Yeah, it's like, this is important, folks. But it's fine. This is the second card, and it's been coming up a lot in the news. That is the asteroid one. So NASA and Elon Musk
I remember this
team up for a mission to crush into asteroid. NASA is teaming up with SpaceX to launch one of its most daring missions to save the world from an apocalyptic wipeout. I can't talk.
Apocalyptic. Yep, you're doing all right. They know what you mean.
The space agency has instructed the help of Elon Musk's aerospace company with the first ever attempt to deflect an asteroid by purposely crashing into it. See, they're saying, oh, we don't know. Let's just try to purposely crash into it. This thing happens to cost $69 million.
Oh, man.
It's like,
what I could do with $69 million, I'll tell you.
Just to redirect this asteroid that'll come. So this is setting it up, and they plan to get this to launch in 2021. So that's what I'm saying, that this is So you can already see how the dominoes are starting to pre-line these things up to what Werner von Braun said. No, I think this is a typo here.
It almost seems like we're preparing for an actual invasion, though, and not just a fake invasion. You
of
know?
Asteroids?
Or well, think of it. You know, if we can deflect them from missing the Earth, why can't other beings out there way past the reaches of our sensors deflect them to hit the Earth?
Oh, yeah.
Right? You know, they start flinging asteroids at us, and so anyway, you know, it's so.
Was that a movie?
Well, Starship Troopers kind of was like that a little bit, I think.
Oh no, it was an SG-1. See, they have so much truth in SG-1.
Yeah, it is. We should do a show on SG-1 sometime.
I still got 2 more seasons to go through.
Oh my God, yeah, SG-1 is crazy.
There's a lot of disclosures in there.
Yes, there is.
And then you brought up that we were doing a pre-movie before you did the island with the magician.
Oh, David Copperfield.
Yeah,
yep.
We did the thing where you came back and you was like, "Oh, is this one of those SG-1 rifles?" So at the time, I knew they were using MP5s because that's all I watched.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They do use that gun later on. I was like, Pete was right.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then this must be a typo here because they said by October 2002 the spacecraft will attempt to crash into the.
Okay, 2012.
So I think they meant 2020.
2022.
Yeah, 2022. Yep, you're right.
Yep.
So again, this is setting up the cards. All right, now we're working on the asteroids. We've already done the country thing. Now they're going to do the asteroids, and then, oh, lo and behold, Luis Elizondo was just talking about these evil aliens, and we happen to have the stuff ready to go.
Yeah, and give us more money, and we'll spend it.
And like I say, well, like the article says, what a waste of money, $69 million.
The sad thing is that as far as our budget goes and doing crap like this,
it's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah. But we can go ahead and let people starve and be homeless.
It's unbelievable. But yeah, so there you go, folks. More setting up of the cards, just like it was going to drop down. Now I want to step back here. I should have presented this with the Julian Assange thing, because this was a WikiLeaks document. Steve Jobs' HIV. So maybe that was his real reason for the death. I looked this up. Some people are saying this is fake, but okay, that's supposedly his. Yeah, supposedly. I always say supposedly.
Yeah,
and that's wrong.
Yeah, supposedly. Yeah, with a D, not a B.
That's his signature. And then here's the second right here where it says test HIV positive. And they got the birthday there, all that good stuff. It looks like his social security's there too, so there could be a lot of confirmation here, folks. But one guy said the signatures weren't the same. Well, I went through and I found one that was pretty damn similar, because he always signs it Steve N. Jobs, right, like right up here. But this one right here looks really, really similar. I mean, look at the STE. I think that's
that is
pretty damn good match. And the Jobs, only thing that's different is he came off on the S, and maybe the J is a little different. But who's to say your signature?
Oh, the J is definitely different.
I mean, you could easily swing.
Yeah, but maybe it was swung, but it didn't go or something, right? You know.
Well, I mean, you just found out you got HIV. You're probably gonna be a little pissed, or maybe you're going for the test and you're a little off beat too. My signatures, they change from time to time. It's just what happens. But this is one where we signed the Macintosh. There's an older one, of course. I thought it said what it was on here. I guess not. But anyway, I think it's legit. But there's people saying that it's not.
Go back one more time, if you don't mind, Dan, to the other one.
To
the Macintosh one. Boy, look at that S on the Steve and how high it curls up there. It looks pretty good. Maybe somebody took some time to.
Are you talking about the first S?
Yeah, that first S.
Yeah, that's the one that really.
Look at it, and it's got that unique high cut on the S. So, he does it from the bottom around.
But most of the stuff he does sign Steven. So I mean, this was a rare signature. So it's one of those things that it's not like we shouldn't make a big deal out of it.
It's funny though, because people refer to him as Steve Jobs, but he signs most of his stuff Steven.
That's a good point.
If it's a Hulk, somebody would not think to put that N on it.
Right.
Huh.
But you know, somebody like that prominent dies, they don't want them to know that he died for HIV. They probably want to know he just had.
Well, I find it interesting.
Puts it more into a victim.
I find it very hard to believe that somebody like Steve Jobs would die from HIV. You'd think the second they'd found out, they'd run the cure over to him and give it to him. You know,
that's true too. But then again, if he had I guess he did get a new pancreas. It was right.
I think it was pancreatic cancer is what they claimed.
But he did get a new one. That took him a while to get that, though. You think with him having such high...
He'd just go to some country and just load up a plane full of potential candidates and off they'd go.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so...
that's interesting.
I thought that was just interesting.
I guess it's inconsequential either way. He's dead, so what does it matter, I guess, how he died? But
right.
It's still interesting.
Well, I think it's just one of those things that they want it to be more of like a memory, like...
Yeah.
So you can go down like with a good bang, if you will. Because otherwise... So now this guy here, bizarre footage shows LAPD helicopters in standoff with UFO. I thought this was just kind of interesting and worth a play. I guess we'll just talk over it because there's no... Yeah, so we got a dot for those listening on the podcast. We got a dot over on the left, and then there's 3 helicopters just sitting there stationary watching it. Again, it's kind of cruddy footage.
Yeah, I mean, the helicopters just look like bigger dots.
Yeah,
you know?
So you can't really get the distinct what's going on here. I guess they could be in pursuit of another aircraft or helicopter, but they're all just
they are definitely not moving. Yeah, that was interesting. Inconclusive, but interesting.
Yeah, exactly. It was just one of
those
those
things. Could have been
things.
a really big drone for all we know, right?
And there's always a lot of these.
Oh, yeah. Go to YouTube. You can see all sorts of CGI'd stuff. And it's easy to CGI that blurry crap, you know?
Yeah. So here we go. This was more of a local one I wanted to share because we don't get usually too much action in Wisconsin.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I mean, there's a few things here and there, but... So, biggest UFO story of 2019, ex-U.S. Marine. So we got some credibility here. Films huge light in the sky near nuclear power plant. So this was over the Wisconsin section of Lake Michigan. Now, this is kind of over by Green Bay area. It's Two Creeks, Wisconsin.
Is this year?
Yeah. So, basically, it kind of almost looks like a big fireball. This was taken by Jeff on March 24th. Shows a huge orange object hovering in the sky close to the Point Beach nuclear plant in Two Creeks. So there's a picture of it.
Whoa.
It almost kind of looks like, what would you say that is, Pete? Kind of almost like the start of an explosion or something?
Yeah, like a big flare. You can almost see smoke on, top and bottom on it. It's like illuminating smoke almost, it looks like. That's interesting. Is that the only photo we got of it? Or
there's actually a video.
I'd like to see that.
Bring it up here.
By the looks of it, from my best perception, if I was to say where they were, it looked like they were going to be like somewhere right over towards Two Rivers, probably 7 to 10 miles away is what it was looking like to me. And what's right up the road from Two Rivers is Point Beach, and what's right up the road from Point Beach is Kewaunee. Now, what the significance of those two places are, they both have nuclear plants. There have been, over the years, there would be talk of lights and stuff out over the nuclear plants in this, in the area. Nothing ever really on the news or anything, but just people talking amongst themselves, yeah, I saw some weird lights the other night out by the nuclear plant, because it's a good fishing area, because they shoot out the water that they use for cooling the reactors, they shoot it out into the lake, and that's really warm water, and the trout and the salmon, they like to swim up there when it's spawning time, which is a good time of the year, and then in the fall again, and so they like that clean, warm water. I will guarantee you, God is my witness, this was not anything we have. No way. Not even close. Not a chance. And it was not a star. It was not a planet. It was not a meteor. It was nothing. It was definitely, by definition, an unidentified flying object.
Well, the full-length video is much more compelling than the photo was.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
I've never seen anything like this. That's why it was...
Yeah, it didn't seem to move, but it was...
It's got that flicker.
Yeah, and it's got the accompanying orbs around it, too, so that was interesting. I mean, if I was out on a boat down the lake and I saw that, I'd be weirded out for sure.
It's interesting. He said that they dumped the cooling water out in the. I didn't know they did that.
Oh, sure.
Isn't that radioactive?
No, they'll. No, I
is that like within another?
They can't just dump Well, they're not supposed to dump radioactive water out. No.
Oh, I guess it was. I'm just thinking of Fukushima. I guess where that.
Yeah, well, that
one's broke open.
Yeah, and that one broke. But wasn't it the radioactivity doesn't cause damage anyway, right?
Well, yeah, we were eating it.
Yeah, Dan ate a handful of it. We watched those videos.
That's crazy.
The guy would go swimming in the cooling pools.
You got to think that there's something to that, because if he got to swim in there, drink the water, eat the uranium.
Maybe he was just naturally immune.
Yeah, maybe he's got some superpowers. Because that's what I always think of. Like people say, you get all this wireless technology around us.
Oh, 5G. People are 5G. Talking up about 5G.
And that constantly banging on your cells. But I think eventually your body starts to develop a resistance to that.
Oh, sure. And, eventually through evolution, if it doesn't happen too quickly, people that have poor reactions to that will just die off early enough. They won't reproduce, and the strong will continue.
And that's
how they do it with vaccines,
Oh, exactly. And that's a good point you brought that up, too, the 5G, because Trump just signed that thing to get stuff going for 5G here last week in the United States. What I don't like about that, and I know everybody was complaining about it in his comments of the White House video, is this stuff's bad for you. And then there's this, the QAnon stuff says that they altered it so it's better. But, I mean, if they did, why doesn't Trump just come out and say, oh, this is a different 5G, we changed some stuff.
And it's fine, yeah.
They didn't talk about any safety concerns at all at that. That should be a priority, because that's such a big thing with 5G, and he didn't even mention it.
Yeah, who knows?
It just says we'll have connectivity everywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they plan on, even in the rural areas, how they're going to do this in the rural areas. They're just going to put them on every telephone pole? Or
Well, that's another thing, is that they say that the range is so short on it.
It is. They have to be every block. So that's a good question of how you would reach out in the middle of nowhere. 4G is fine if they could just get more coverage.
Yeah.
Because you could go in the dead spell in the valleys, and it's
nothing.
They don't give a rat's ass about that. But, let's get 5G right now.
Yeah, and continue to screw over the rural folks.
So, what's the end game?
Well, massive population control of the entire planet.
It was supposed to be a big thing. So, is there anything else you want to talk about, Pete?
that
we can just engage in conversation with before we wrap for today?
No, just things are crazy. The world's crazy. Just hold on to our britches, and hopefully Elon Musk will get that technology developed so that when we do find that asteroid that is coming at us, we can do something about it. But otherwise, I'll wait patiently for that day.
It's almost like it's a race, between Elon Musk and Luis Elizondo now. Who's going to be the first one to actually develop something?
Has Elon Musk ever come out with his stance on aliens, UFOs, stuff like that?
That's a good question.
Because he almost seems like part alien himself.
He is weird.
Yeah, he's got some of that dormant DNA that got activated on accident or something, probably from testing 5G.
Yeah, there's with all these new kids coming in too, they got more cognitive abilities to. That's going to be my next topic for when we all get together. Because just crazy how these young kids can be so smart that way and figure all this stuff out.
Well, I just read an interesting article the other day. There's a doctor saying that children up until the age 4 operate on genius at a genius level. And I guess it makes sense if you're thinking about everything that they're comprehending and figuring out, their pace of learning, and then they just get to a certain age and then that starts to taper off, and that's probably partly our own fault as people for not continually challenging them. So if you, at that age, if you continue to give them challenging stuff, they might just roll through that. Next thing you know, you got yourself a 12-year-old Harvard College grad, and 6 majors.
I think a lot of it too is they have the better tools than we had.
Yeah, there's absolutely some of that.
Well, you didn't probably have any internet. I had dial-up internet. It's
I'm trying to think.
Crap.
We never had internet at our house. I never experienced internet, real internet, until college. and it was chat room internet.
Yeah,
like
AOL.
The World Wide Web was not there. You couldn't Google anything.
No.
And these chat rooms were just a line of people's names just pouring down, depending on how many people were in the chat room and how many people were typing. Every time you typed something, it would just show up and then just scroll down behind all these other people's comments. So if you were having a conversation with somebody, you had to like pick their name out of this scrolling list to see if they responded to you or not. Yeah, it was awful. It was terrible. I mean, it was cool, but that was like mid-90s, early 90s.
And I was talking to a younger fella at the water park last night about basically how much easier he's got it, because he's got his phone where he can just search stuff. I was like, we had to go home and we had dial-up internet. It was crap.
Yeah, we had to go to the library.
Yeah, library.
I lived in the country. We would go to the library like once every week or two, and that's when you did your research and checked out books on werewolves and vampires.
But that leads to how could you couldn't really have much involvement in conspiracy theories back then, because that's
just some random books. My sophomore year of high school.
I mean, didn't have a community. We
had a biology teacher that made us write a paper on something biology related, and I was a sophomore, one of the seniors said, "Oh, ask him for his paper on aliens." And this is what really got me, and he gave me this folder that had this alleged, I wish I had it now, it was an alleged account of this guy and his experience with aliens, and it talked about gray aliens and the Nordics and stuff, and I wrote a big paper. I got an A on it. I wrote a paper on it, and it really, from that point on, I was really like set down this path to like, this is interesting. I want to learn about this and see what's out there. But even before that, I remember in like 3rd grade reading a story on Sasquatch and thought it was super interesting and super cool, and understood that this could really be something here. So anyway, you found it, but it wasn't instantaneous, right? Not like it is today. I mean, there's opportunities, there's just more information. The problem with having that much information that readily available, you can get polluted with bad information very quickly. And I think that's part of the reason why people get so divided. Especially with all the algorithms now. Oh, this interests you, this interests you. It's after you do a couple searches, it's throwing you into an echo chamber. You're only going to find stuff that agree with your previous searches.
Yeah, and that's like, that can bring up the whole flat earth thing too. That's a real divide for some people.
Yeah.
And they're only searching for that proof. I think I just watched that other day. I was always going to talk about that documentary, Finding the Curve. Basically, it was a smash against the flat earth, because they were just showing like how crazy.
Where do you stand on flat earth?
It's not flat. I go around.
Yeah,
I go around.
Yeah, I go around too.
Because well, they bring up a few good points.
I'm more hollow earth than I am flat earth.
Me too. Or at least sections of it. Not like a whole hollow out.
Not like just a mile across or whatever.
But they bring up some good points. Like, I don't think they said the drop was as big as it is, because when they look from from Chicago over that Michigan distance, you shouldn't be able to, but you do. So I don't think maybe our people, the scientists or the experts, don't really know exactly that drop was, because it's bigger than they know. They think it. Oh, okay. Whatever.
Yep.
But there was kind of some proof in that documentary that these flat earthers were not wanting to bring some evidence forward that showed that it was round, because they're like, this disproves our theory, we're not going to talk about it. And they had that clip in there.
That is intellectually dishonest when you do that. That is anti-science. But that happens all the time.
Yeah.
They want to.
And they're involved in it, and they started this big thing. So why would they want it to crash too? So
yeah, if someone's making money on it, let it ride as long as you can.
All right, with that, I think we'll close out. Dan Hohlfeld here with Pete Halbleib.
All right,
on the road.
On the road and living large, I guess. Right.
It was fun. We'll have to do this more often.
Yeah, right.
We'll have to film one when we go to East City. Somewhere.
Yeah, which we need to get those dates.
Yeah, we're still not confirmed. It's one of the first 2 weeks, and I'll let you know as soon as I know.
Are we looking at July?
No, August.
August, good, even better.
Yeah.
Good, yeah, as soon as you know, because I got to get my home life in order before I can just run off.
Okay.
So.
All right, we'll do that. We'll take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Visit k2d4network.com today.